If you're waiting for life to show you mercy, you chose the wrong path. This world doesn't care about the lines you draw, the fears you hold, or the limits you cling to. It only cares about one thing. Do you break, or do you rise with a stare that says, "Hit me again, I dare you"? Because people like you were never meant to be sheltered. You were meant to be pushed, challenged, tested, bent, crushed, and still stand back up with your fists tight and your spirit burning hotter than the pain trying to consume you. And if life decides to swing at you again, good, let it, because every time it does, you don't just rise. You rise darker, harder, hungrier, and more dangerous than before. Listen carefully, because I'm only going to say this once. There comes a moment in every life when the world stops giving reminders and starts delivering trials, not softly, not gently, but brutally, relentlessly, intentionally. The universe stops whispering and instead grabs you by the spine, drags you through the dirt, and waits to see whether you scream or whether you stand up anyway. And most people, they scream, but you're not most people, are you? Life keeps choosing you for the worst battles because deep down it knows you're one of the few capable of surviving them. You've been hit, betrayed, abandoned, underestimated, pushed so close to the edge that the edge feels familiar now. And still, you remain. Not out of luck, but because you are too stubborn to stay down. You don't fold. You don't kneel. You don't beg. You endure. You adapt. You sharpen. Life keeps throwing you into the fire, and you keep emerging with colder eyes and a stronger pulse. So hear me. If life wants to break you one more time, let it try. Because every attempt only creates a version of you that is more unshakable, more ruthless, more unstoppable than the last. And nothing on this earth is more frightening than someone who refuses to stay broken. This isn't the kind of message you hear when life is peaceful. This is the message for moments when life has both hands around your throat and your seconds from quitting. It's for the ones who have shattered so many times they stopped counting. For the ones who wear their pain like armor. For the ones who killed old versions of themselves without mourning them. For the ones who rise twisted, hardened, and laser-focused. You didn't come here for soft comfort. You came for truth. People look at you and think you're fragile, someone easy to step on, someone lost in their own thoughts, someone insecure, someone breakable, but they're wrong. You aren't fragile. You're forged. Life didn't break you. It reshaped you. Every failure carved discipline. Every betrayal carved clarity. Every heartbreak carved hunger. You didn't weaken. You sharpened. That's why they fear you now. You weren't built to be soft. Stop apologizing for your edge. Stop shrinking to blend in. Stop pretending you're like everyone else. You're not. Strong people are built from suffering. But the unbreakable, they're built from willingly returning to suffering again and again until they stop fearing it. The world loves the ones who smile through pain. Forget that. I want you to snarl through it, though stand tall and challenge the world to hit harder. Because softness never saved you. Strength did. The moments that destroy others are the moments that awaken you. Most people stop when they hit their limit. You don't. You feel the edge. You feel the pain. You hear the voice telling you to quit, and you take another step anyway. That step, that breath, that final push when everything feels impossible. That's where monsters are born. That's where warriors rise. That's where your real power begins. That's why you rise different. Not gently, not gratefully, but dangerously. Pain doesn't soften you. It hardens you. Pain doesn't build character. It builds walls, laws, and boundaries weak people can't cross. Pain reveals the version of you that won't flinch, won't beg, won't break. That version is waking up inside you right now. A version stitched together from silence and scars. A version the world isn't prepared to face when you hit the end. When strength, hope, and trust are all gone. Most people break, but you, when you have nothing left, you become unstoppable. Because when there's nothing left to lose, there's nothing left to fear. And a person who's no longer afraid of breaking becomes the most terrifying force alive. Life tried breaking you. It failed. It tried humiliating you. It tried draining you. It tried scaring you into quitting. It tried using your doubts as weapons. But you're still here, breathing, standing, fighting. Not by accident, but by design. You were built for war. Your soul is older than your wounds. You were constructed to rise every time you fall. People think you're angry, but it's not anger, it's memory. You remember the pain. You remember who wasn't there. You remember the fight to rebuild yourself. And you vowed never to become that broken version again. That's not anger, that's evolution. This dark rise you're experiencing, this is who you're becoming. You're not rising as your former self. That version is gone, buried beneath lessons you never asked for. Now you rise scarred but steady, quiet but dangerous, calm but explosive, disciplined but ruthless. Your presence speaks before your voice does. Your confidence kills excuses on sight. You no longer seek validation, only purpose. Breaking wasn't punishment. Breaking was initiation. Breaking removed the version of you too weak to walk into your destiny. Because you can't rise as the same person who fell. You must rise as something colder, harder, unstoppable. The next time life breaks you, you'll rise worse. Not more damaged, but more disciplined, more focused, more relentless. Immune to manipulation, immune to distractions, immune to weakness. Your patience for nonsense gone. Your tolerance for excuses gone. Your desire to be liked gone. Once you rise from real pain, you never bow again. Your spine turns to steel, your mind becomes fire. Your heart becomes a weapon, and each attempt to break you only sharpens you further. Soon, you'll face something meant to destroy you. Pain, doubt, fear, confusion, and people will wait for your downfall. But you'll shock them. The world has no idea what your silence has created. It doesn't know the storms you've survived. It doesn't know the limits you've shattered. Break me again, you'll say, and I'll rise into someone even my past self wouldn't recognize. Because your transformation has barely begun. Real transformation is violent. It tears apart who you were, so you can become who you must be. It takes your comfort, your illusions, your attachments, and crushes them, so your discipline can finally breathe. Transformation is sacrifice, sleep, peace, relationships, pieces of yourself you thought were permanent. But it's sacrifice with purpose, and you're in the middle of becoming. But here's the truth, no one prepares you for. The world will hate the new you. When you stop bowing, stop pleasing, stop shrinking, stop staying quiet, people around you get uncomfortable. Your strength exposes their weakness. Your discipline exposes their laziness. Your growth exposes their excuses. And you'll notice it. The silence, the distance, the subtle insults, the jealousy pretending to be advice. Good. Let them choke on the version of you they never expected. You weren't born to keep others comfortable. You were born to make yourself undeniable. But even evolution has a final test. Can you rise when no one applauds? Can you fight when no one sees? Can you push when no one believes? Most people can't. They want recognition before effort, validation before discipline, victory before sacrifice, not you. You work in silence. You suffer without witnesses. You build without praise. You rise without permission. And that's why you become dangerous. Because someone who doesn't need saving becomes someone capable of surviving anything. Now for the darkest truth. Your next evolution requires more pain, more pressure, more breaking. Not because life is cruel, but because your destiny is expensive. You're not meant for the cheap version. You're meant for the version that demands everything. So the storm ahead isn't there to destroy you. It's there to reveal what you can really do. It will corner you, push you, test you, until you rise beyond breakable. And when that moment comes, when the world tries one more time to break you, You won't rise quietly. You won't rise softly. You won't rise with hope. You'll rise with fury, with discipline, with purpose, sharp enough to cut through anything, with eyes that don't fear consequences, with a heartbeat like war drums. You'll rise like a warning, like a consequence, like the version of you fate never warned the world about. And when that version steps forward, the one built from ashes, rage, scars, and unbreakable pride, the world will finally understand. You were never meant to stay broken. You were meant to become a nightmare to everything that tried to break you. Because the truth is simple. Break me a guessin', and I won't just rise worse. I'll rise so far beyond what you expected that even the memory of my old self won't recognize me. That's where your real story begins. And after that, something even darker awakens. Not a darkness that destroys you, but a darkness that rebuilds you into something the world cannot challenge. Each time you rise, you shed a weakness. Each time you refuse to stay down, you kill a limitation. Eventually, there's nothing left to shed but fear, doubt, hesitation. That's where you stand now, between the person you were and the unstoppable force you're becoming. And you're right, this stage isn't peaceful. This stage is carved with ruthless self-respect, because you've finally realized that being broken was never the real threat. Being ordinary was, and you will never accept that fate again. You're not driven by hope anymore. You're driven by defiance. Defiance against your past, your limits, the voice whispering, stay safe. Safe? You've outgrown safe. You've outgrown softness. You've outgrown pretending your strength was optional. Now you know strength is survival. Strength is identity. Strength is the language your soul speaks fluently. And that strength is entering a new era, an era that terrifies anyone who ever doubted you. Because once you no longer need the world begins to fear you. They fear your focus, your silence, your calm, the storm building behind your discipline. And they should fear it, because your evolution isn't gentle, it's merciless. You're no longer powered by hope. You're powered by the memory of being underestimated, dismissed, overlooked, judged, and now they'll watch. You rise into someone they can't even look in the eyes anymore, because you're not healing. You're not recovering. You're ascending through rage refined into discipline, pride sculpted into purpose, wounds transformed into armor. And the truth, the darkest truth of all, is this. Your rise is no longer personal. You're not rising for revenge. You're not rising to prove anyone wrong. You're rising because there is a throne inside you. A throne built from your suffering, your scars, your long nights holding yourself together. A throne that demands evolution. Violent, uncompromising evolution. You're not just changing, you're becoming someone whose presence alone commands respect, someone whose confidence is untouchable, someone whose discipline is unbendable. And when people ask what happened to you, you won't explain, you won't justify, you won't apologize. You'll keep rising, higher, colder, harder, sharper, until the world finally accepts what you already know. You didn't evolve to fit in. You evolved to dominate, because the fire inside you is no longer a warning. It's a declaration that your old self is dead, your false self is gone, and the person you're becoming is built from pure, relentless will. You're not rising for attention. You're rising because nothing, not fear, not fate, not destiny, can stop you anymore. You don't follow destiny now. You challenge it. You rewrite it, you force it to kneel, and when you reach the top of the version you're evolving into, the universe will finally understand. You weren't built to be broken. You were built to break limits, and now you're ready to shatter the next one.